Shall we try the berator?
We're all set and rolling, so here's Beret 1, take 1.
That is too boring. Let's try it again.
Take 2.
Too crazy. Again.
Take 3.
Again.
Take 4.
Etc. Yeah, I messed up one thing near the end, which I think we can do with a fix.
Take 1.
How'd that sound?
Very nice. Very, very solid.
Yeah, it sure was. It was so solid that it was absolutely, resolutely, I think, in the tempo of Beret 1, and I'm not sure it should be. Do you think we should do I don't know, a more minore, a slower one, you know?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Take 2.
Okay. Let me see. I'll have to give you a bit of a retard from the end of 1. Okay, here we go. Ready? How was that?
Very nice.
Was it too Casals-ish, do you think?
Well, perhaps a mite, yes.
Yeah.
I think the oddest thing about recording and the way people react to it, and I don't just mean the way listeners react to it, the way people who engage in it react to it, is that it is a very strange mixture of democratic action and autocratic action. It is obviously autocratic in the sense that when this session or its results, its net product, leaves the studio, it is locked in a certain way, edited by me at my behest, according to my whims of the moment, which might not necessarily be the way I'd edit it next week. There was a lot of that going on earlier today as we picked and chose some takes, as you know. That would seem to be very autocratic in the sense that it is sent out into the world, locked in according to a concept that is entirely mine. It, I think, however, becomes democratic when one realizes that it is never going to be heard again in the way in which I have just heard it in this studio. I wish the differentiation could be much greater than it is. I wish the differentiation and the facilities for differentiation of attending to it were much faster than they presently are. I think they will become that way. That's where we're headed. But nevertheless, even as they presently are, it is never again going to be heard as it leaves this studio. And the best example that I can give you of that is that it is never heard again by me as it leaves this studio, by choice.
You're never going to listen to it again?
No, I probably won't, but no, that's not true. Of course I will, but not too often, perhaps. However, when I do listen to it again, or to any of my own recordings, I do not listen to them in what one would call, in the terms of audio engineering, a flat dynamic position. I have a horror of low frequencies and a great delight in high ones, and I tend to set the dials on my own amplifiers in such a way that my own playing is infinitely more, I don't mean brilliant in a virtuosic sense, brilliant in a sense of thinness of sound, of capturing a different sound than that which I actually created at the time of the recording. Now, you may very well say, and you probably will, given the chance, in that case, why don't you record it that way? The reason I don't is because there are certain, I think unfortunately, there are certain guiding lines in the industry at the present time, certain thou shalt nots, which decree that there is an acceptable norm of recording standard. You don't hit the red part of the VU meter any more often than you can help, and so forth and so on. And moreover, you don't lose all the bass frequencies in deference to the treble ones, etc. According to my ear and my preference, you do. But obviously, there are enough people out there who say, no, can't stand it, that it would be wrong. So at this point, we come to the first stage at which democratic and autocratic action meet. Because once it leaves this room, not only would I hold the profound hope that no one else would listen to it as I have just done, but also that they would not listen to it in a way in which they felt I had, in any sense, imposed a concept upon them. I have locked it in certain, at this moment, inescapable ways. I do not yet have the technology available to say, here are the 16 takes, put it together as you would like to do for yourself. That would be the ideal. It really would, assuming a modicum of, no, not even that, forgetting about the assuming nothing, assuming only their own notion of what was a desirable end product. One should really create the particles of the product and send it out into the world and say, here's my child, bring him up according to your lights, and your faith. That's what one should do with the product. We don't have yet the technology to do that. Getting there, however, there is and has been available for some time, and I'm sure it will find its way into the White House. There is a possibility of recreating the postural dynamics in terms of tempo in such a way that you do not change pitch. Now that sounds like the sort of thing that is interesting only to laboratories, but it really isn't. It means that if you, Bruno, for instance, play the Beethoven Violin Concerto and want to play it in D major, in which key it's written, and decide upon a dee-dum, tie-dee, tee-dum, tie-um, pa-pam, pam, pam, pam tempo, and I happen to be in a sort of upbeat mood and want to hear team tai tai ran tai yan tan 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 tan, but I want to hear you playing it. I can do that. It's not supposed to be, but it's kind of fun.